And we're live. All right.
Oh,
Tonight, hey, everybody, it's so good to see you. I'm back. We are on StreamYard and YouTube, but I'm going to tell you what we're talking about tonight for those of you who missed me. We're talking about manifesting the life that you want. It doesn't matter if you're in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, or even your 30s. It becomes more important when you're in that midlife arc because you're kind of looking at the finish line a little more closely than at your 20s and 30s. But what I want to do tonight is I have two guests on with me on YouTube. I have Lola Troy
I'm
from
back.
Joy, and I have Belay Frazier, the Hypno Catalyst. And we're going to be talking about some of the nuances of manifesting and why it works for some people and why it doesn't work for others. So I want to introduce my guests or allow them to introduce themselves. I'll start, I guess, going from
Oh yeah.
left to right. Belay Frazier, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and what you do and how you got here
I
on
sure
my
will.
screen?
I know, right? And here I was thinking I was so prepared, and then I decided I was going to go live on Instagram and didn't have my tripod. But I am Belay Frazier. I am a life coach and clinical hypnotherapist. And I came here because Karen decided that she really liked me and she thinks we look alike. So I said she's my twin from another mother. And we actually met at an event last year, yeah, 2023, in December
2023.
of last year through another contact of us, and we like hit it off amazingly. And yeah, so my background is in HR. That's pretty much what I've done my entire life and career. But now I'm out here trying to help women live our best lives. So that's me.
Lola, could you introduce yourself? Thank you so much, Billy.
Hi, my name is Lola Troy. I call myself the Chief Inspirational Officer of Heal Black Joy.
Ooh,
Heal Black Joy is a learning platform that empowers women to embrace and nurture their Black joy through tangible and attainable programs for the mind, body, soul, relationship, and businesses. I'm very passionate about helping Black women find their joy. I feel like sometimes we can get stagnant in the things that happen in our lives. And I just want to be like that Harriet Tubman, that Sojourner Truth, that brings them on to the train of joy and just remind people that you can have it, you can achieve it, you can live in it, and you can experience it. And so that's what my reminder is for Black women. And I'm very passionate about it. So thank you for having me.
I
wow.
love that.
Thank you. Well, for those of you who are on Instagram and you want to join the conversation or just want to peek in and get a sense of what's happening, what are we talking about, and how to manifest and how to get some joy and how to manifest that joy and how to get that help so that you can kind of get your mindset right. Join us over on the other channels. I hope you come over and join the conversation.
Can y'all hear on Instagram? Can y'all just like give me a thumbs up and let me know? Oh, go ahead. Don't mind me.
Okay, so here we are. We're back. Let me ask you guys this. How how do you let me start off first. Have you guys manifested anything? What have you ever manifested?
Okay, I'll start with that. So, we had this conversation, and I think I was manifesting things before we knew, there was a word around it and didn't know what that was called. And so, whenever I looked for a new job, and I'm not going to tell you how often I look for a new job, but whenever I decided that I wanted to look for a new job, every job that I wanted, I got. And
Mhm.
so, like, I don't know what it's like to apply for jobs or put my resumes out there and I don't get a call back. Like, when I get the little letter that says thanks, but no thanks, I'm like, what the hell is wrong with y'all? So, literally, every job that I've wanted, I've been able to manifest that job.
Interesting.
And as I've gotten older, I've realized that I've been able to manifest things, not even realizing that I was doing it. And so, I've had to become very conscious about my words and my speaking because I've manifested things with other people that happen with them. And it's powerful. Like, you have to realize what your energy puts out there. And once your mind and your energy are vibing together and you get on that wavelength, like, it just starts happening like this.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Lola, how
Yeah.
about you?
I've definitely manifested jobs, meetings, business and personal. I've manifested money before, just trying it, just testing out the waters of like I'm open to all, finances coming my way, that it doesn't burn any bridges with anybody. And I'll just say, things that, like she said, you got to be very careful with your language, because words are powerful. Words are spelling, they're
Yep.
spells. That's what that comes from.
Ooh, that's good.
And it's very key to be mindful of what you say out of your mouth, because you're putting it out in the world. You're putting out what I call in the ethos and the atmosphere.
Hmm.
And you could literally manifest good as well as manifest bad based off of what you think and what you say.
Hmm.
For
Okay,
sure.
let me ask you this, ladies. I agree with both of you, and I remember it struck me years ago when I was a teacher, a classroom teacher, saying to the kids in my class that everything in this room was something that someone manifested. Someone thought that, had that idea for that, and then now look, that desk you're sitting at, that chair
Hmm.
you're sitting on, that little chair. Someone said, "Oh, we should make a chair for little kids." That was an idea somebody had.
Absolutely.
So I want to ask you guys, since you guys are long-term manifestors, hey, what? How did you get into manifesting? What got you here to manifesting? What was your first thing, Billy? I think I'm gonna Was it what brought you in? You too, Lola.
You want me to go first or you go
Let you
first?
go first, Lola.
Mine was out of sheer frustration. I wanted my life to change. And even though I grew up in church and I grew up with a certain level of indoctrination, I think, sometimes people get mad at me because I always talk about the indoctrination in religious settings has been one of the crippling factors when it comes to manifestation,
Mm,
because we've been taught that to suffer is equivalent to being next to God or close to God, right?
mhm.
And so we have this thought process, whether we learned it in church or whether we were modeling behavior, what we saw, what we witnessed, what we experienced, what we heard from our family members, our parents, our grandmamas and stuff. They didn't really have a lot of things out in their tangible sphere that they could manifestation, like Belay said, it wasn't a word, it wasn't a thing, there was no
Hmm.
word that we could put to it. For them it was about their faith, it was
Hmm.
about,
Won't he do it?
I'm gonna
Right.
pray for it, God is gonna bring it to me, and I'm just gonna stand and believe on that. Now they might wait 85 years to see it come into fruition, right? But a lot of the hindrance was the indoctrination of suffering.
Hmm.
Mm,
Suffering doesn't allow for you to manifest. And if
that.
it does, it's just by
Hmm.
happen chance that you just, maybe you're just a masterful manifester, you just don't know it. But a lot of times the indoctrination of, I need to suffer, I'm not worthy of something
Hmm.
good coming into my life. A lot of people think that way in our community.
So, real quick before we go to Billy, do you think that is connected to how we manifest that car repossession, or people who manifest that losing of the house, and oh,
They
he's
worry
gonna
about
leave
it.
me?
Absolutely. They think about it all the time. They worry about it. And because that is those ruminating thoughts are in their mind, they will literally bring that into their situation. I mean, I've gotten to a point where before I became a masterful manifester, I used to be a masterful worry wart.
Ooh,
I
that is
worried
off
about
the car.
everything.
Hmm.
I worried about everything. And it comes from childhood, watching my mom and my grandmother and everybody around them, like, oh honey, you don't want to go here, because in their day that could cost them their life, or that could
Mm.
cost them their job, or that could cost them their relationship. So even though they were trying to look out for us and give us sound counsel, a lot of times it hindered us as we grew older, because now we're worried about every little thing instead of thinking and confidently thinking, you know what, I'll get that job, I'm not even worried about it.
So, you made that connection between mindset and manifestation early on.
Absolutely.
Billy, how
Right.
about
Absolutely.
you? How did
I
you?
would
Oh,
say
sorry.
that
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
I would say I've been a late bloomer, because I think it's interesting. Like you talked about the indoctrination as we're growing up. Yeah, I grew up missionary Baptist. Love God, He loves me too, but I cuss a little. Um, but growing up in the Black church, we've always been taught, He'll give you everything you need, but we haven't been taught how that happens. And, over the years, what I've realized is, thoughts become beliefs, your beliefs become your life. And so whatever you think, as a man think it, so he becomes.
So
That's what
see,
happens.
yeah.
But I was a late bloomer to reconcile those and figure out how it works together. So I would say probably like within the last 5 to 7 years.
Really?
Yeah, I figured it out and I've been able to connect the pieces. I didn't know that that's what it was. Within the
Yeah.
last 3 years, I would say that I've been putting a focus on, mindset and being cognizant of the words that I speak and how, yeah, I'm a manifester in the human design. And so I understand that when I speak something, it happens. And so, like Lola said, you can speak positive, you can speak negative.
Yeah.
When I have to catch myself and make sure that I'm not worrying a lot, because, yeah, when I start worrying and putting myself in a state of lack, that's what I produce. And yeah, you can manifest good, you can manifest bad. And so it's very important that you keep yourself in that space. And if you read in the Bible, yeah, everything is there for us, but it's within us. And we just have to learn how to put those two together.
Let me ask you something. Thank you, ladies, for sharing that.
Hmm.
I think that one or two things kind of bubbled up in my mind as the two of you were speaking. I think in terms of our culture of praying and standing on the word and waiting for God, but our counterparts in other cultures didn't have that. And I wonder, is there, and tell me what you ladies think, is there a real distinction between how people of color are able to manifest versus our other counterparts? Do you guys, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally believe that. I've and
Hmm.
specifically with Black women, when you think about manifestation, we have an intersectionality of gender and race. You know, where we can be discriminated against when it comes to our gender as well as our race. That's the intersectionality. Black men deal with it because they are Black, but not necessarily men. And white women deal with it because they're women, but not necessarily Black. But with Black women, we've got the intersectionality of both.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is as we go through our day to day routines, whatever we're doing throughout the day, we're dealing with some of the discrimination, whether it's in our job, whether it's when we go to the store, especially in the climate that we're living in right now, with
Yeah.
everything that's so divided, so divisive. The language is divisive, social media. I mean, you see it every single day where, like right now, we're dealing with DEI, with
Yeah.
diversity and inclusion, and how they're trying to do away with it, especially with women in academia. We've heard stories, the Harvard president that stepped down because she was being threatened, the Liberty University vice president of student affairs who committed suicide last week because she was being bullied by her white president, her white male president counterpart colleague, who was just bullying her. And it's like, we're the most enterprising, we're the most educated, but at the same time, we've been presented with a certain set of circumstances that our white counterparts are not having to deal with when it comes to the home and when it comes to the workplace. White men can go and do whatever they want to do, wherever they want to do it, however they want to do it, and it is okay. We don't have that same luxury,
Yeah.
right? So if our focus is, I've got to deal with this microaggression at work, that takes away from you trying to be in the mindset of manifestation, because you're dealing with microaggression and people cutting you off and people telling you that you're not educated enough, or you don't look good enough, or you don't have the certain look or the certain talk or the certain expertise. We're dealing with all those microaggressions in our day-to-day routine, and it leaves us tired most days.
Yeah.
Where by the time we get home, and if we have families, we've got to deal with that. We put those things on the back burner. As Black women, we particularly put ourselves on the back burner. We don't make ourselves the first thing. It's our children, our spouses, our partners, our jobs, and then you're dealing with all the other things that you got to deal with. So I think for us, it's a little bit different. We have to concentrate on manifestation. We have to really carve out some time to really say, you know what, I want to achieve this. I have these goals. I see them before me. I have the expertise and the ingenuity to get to the goal. But sometimes,
It, you know,
some days, there's those out factors, those factors that lay in the background that hinder us sometimes.
it's funny that you say that. That one of the key things with being able to manifest is being able to clear your mind, to have a clear mind that's at peace, and to be able to visualize things. So to kind of really tie that in, if you are thinking about the being called a man, being called, hey, that's, those boys over there, or that girl, or all the little kinds of things that people say that, oh, I didn't mean anything by it. um those things that kind of get you going. How do you really channel your mind? Takes a concerted effort to then push all that to the side, and then
Yeah.
focus on those things. And that's why I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, if you agree with me or disagree with me, I think we have people in our culture that are in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s, who've had these dreams or had ideas of things that they wanted to do or wanted to go, or things of that nature, but somehow they can't kind of lock in and really focus on that because there's so much extraneous, excuse my French, shit going on that you're trying to process and focus on, or
Mhm.
filter out, that you can't get
Mm.
to the good stuff.
And okay, I got two things to say.
Go ahead.
So, first thing, it's all a distraction.
Mm,
I believe that Black women are the ultimate creators and manifestors of this world. Everything under the sun has come from a Black woman. We are able to give birth to things. Once we came to this country, John Doe figured out how to distract us with these other things so we forget who we were and what we could do. And so all of these other things are just a distraction. One thing I don't do is watch the news. I stopped watching the news when that crazy man was running for office. And it just amazes me how much free time that has freed up in my life, in my mind, to not have those distractions running around in my head. And that affects your manifesting, that affects your mindset because it's a distraction. If you are living in a state of anxiety where you're worried about all these things that are happening in the world, guess what's going to happen? That's how you're going to live every day. And so, like, for me, that's one of the things that I do. I don't watch the news. I don't read a lot of news. And when my father was alive, he would get mad at me all the time. He was like, well, how are you going to know what's something happening in the world? And I was like, well, we got everything on these little devices in my hand. If it's
Right.
important, somebody's going to send me a text, and that's how I'm going to find out. And that's good enough for me. Like, I don't want to live in that space. And so I think we have to get to the point where we have to figure out, how do you cut out the noise? And it's so hard when you have everything coming to you from media, even the music that we listen to and the songs that are sang, and even the megahertz that they're recorded in,
yes.
how you dress, how we wear our hair,
Yeah.
all of that is just a distraction, I think, to make us forget of who we really are and the divinity in us. And so you got to figure out how to get rid of that noise.
But
Interesting.
that to add to that, I think it's divine that you said that, because yes, that in a perfect world, like, we're very aware people, we're very self-aware, but
Yep.
there's so many of our sisters that are not aware, right?
Hmm.
They don't know that they're being distracted. They think that this is just their everyday occurrence or everyday situation where they are surviving and not thriving. They don't know what it looks like to thrive. They don't know that they're being distracted. they think that this is the norm, this is the status quo, this is what my life is been, this is what my mama's life was, this is what
Yep.
grandmama's life was, this is what big mama's life was. So they don't even know. Like, it's key that we have these conversations and we have them often, because when you have this community conversation, it lets other people know, you know what, hey, maybe I can manifest something. Maybe I can turn this noise off. Maybe I
Mhm.
should be reminded that I don't need to watch the news because it is a distraction. It
Mhm.
is noise.
It's absolutely noise. And then, so the way that they continue that conversation, especially with Black women, the stereotype, Black women can't work together. Black women don't get along. Guess what that is? It's another distraction to keep us apart. I'm like, I
Yeah.
refuse to believe that. You can't, yeah, I don't have to like you. I absolutely do not have to like you. But I can find a way for us to work together, to work towards a common cause. I'm all for doing. There's enough out there for everybody, for all of us to win. I don't live a life of lack. And then if you want to talk about the Bible says we're not supposed to live a world, a
Absolutely
life
not.
of lack. Like all of the desires of your heart, I'll give them to you. Okay, I got a whole bunch of desires, Jesus. Where they at? I want them right now.
You know what? I want to ask you. I want to throw this into the mix. We talked about how women of color create. We talk about how manifestation is something that we've done and it's a part of who and what we are. I know I would hazard to guess that the two of you have read The Secret.
Of course.
Do you think Lisa Nichols was a part of that project? Do you think that for those Black people, and I'm just going to say Black folks, who thought, oh, that manifestation is all that woo woo stuff, and that's the thing that white folks do, et cetera, et cetera. Sorry, white people. Uh, uh, that her being a part of that project kind of legitimized and pulled in the fact that, hey, that's a thing that we can do. Did it
I
legitimize
think so.
manifestation for Black people? Do you guys?
I think it legitimized it, but that wasn't the secret. Like
Exactly.
it,
But it's like
it
half the secret. It's like,
right, it was
oh, let me
half
take
the
that.
secret. Right. It wasn't the secret, but I think that absolutely legitimized it, even though, we've been in these spaces for years. I grew up in LA. My mom's from Louisiana. Like, we've been in these metaphysical spaces for years. It's just kind of been hush hush and we haven't talked about it. But now we're at a place where people are becoming more vocal and comfortable about it. People are questioning religion and spirituality and what that looks like and what it needs to be. And so maybe, 10 years ago, that's not what the world wanted us to talk about, but now it's coming to the light. So yeah.
I remember when Michael Beckwith, who was the man, the Black man on there, who's a minister,
Yeah.
and Lisa. I remember when Black people thought that Iyanla and Michael and them, they were crazy, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But now it comes full circle, and you're having other leaders who are talking about manifestation and things that are separating ourselves from just religious institutions. Because I mean, if you think about it, if we go back, I know you're from New York, right, Karen?
Yes.
You're
Yes,
Karen.
I am.
Okay, I know you remember Reverend Ike.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I
Reverend
remember
Ike
Reverend
used to be
Ike,
from the
right?
South because
And his little red prayer cloths.
Reverend Ike came out of the South. And so
Mhm.
when he was kind of percolating with that, when he went north, he took that foundation north.
But let me tell you, I
He was
have run up on some Reverend Ike videos in the last year. And before, sometimes it's not the right time for you to hear a thing,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Absolutely.
right?
Think about
Because
Creflo Dollar, name it and claim it.
I
Mhm.
was I was very religious back then, and anything that had anything to do with manifestation or living
Spirituality,
your life a certain kind of way, I just was like, that ain't of God.
witchcraft.
I don't
Right.
want to hear it. Let me back away from it. Boom, boom, boom. Right. But after I became a more realized, self-aware person, and I opened my mind to other thought processes and just have witnessed certain things and have experienced certain things, I can listen to Reverend Ike. I can listen to a Tony Robbins now. I can listen to a Mel Robbins. I can listen to uh, a Michael Beckwith with open ears and really take in the information and be able to apply it now. So I think sometimes it's about not necessarily just the information, but it's the timing in which you hear the information. Because sometimes you might not be ready to hear it or receive it or be able to act upon it.
I think that to me, when you said that immediately, my brain went, when the student is ready, the teacher will
The
appear.
teacher
Right.
will appear. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
had a conversation with someone the other day about learning and knowledge transfer and knowledge assimilation. Because
Mhm.
someone can arrive with the knowledge to transfer it to you, but if you're not ready to receive it, they can just like talk it the entire time, and it will be you'll be lost. It will have zero meaning for you. Um, I have manifested, and I too have recreated myself in different iterations. Some people hear me say I used to be a teacher. I used to be a classroom teacher. I was an adjunct professor. I was a corporate trainer. I do EMR. I've done different things, and that was really focusing on that, and didn't realize I was doing that. How do you guys? What's your manifestation process? And I really want to get into, so people who are listening, what's your process for manifestation?
So
Because
now you
everyone,
want me to tell them the secret?
yeah, I want to because there are different ways, like as you guys know, and I'm just going to throw a couple out. There's some people who do vision boards, some people who do scripting. There's some people who do, in terms of scripting, you have the 333 method, you have the 777 method, you have the 555 method, you have the people who do the mirror technique,
Mhm.
where you say that into the, what you're manifesting into the mirror. So, what is your process?
I mean, I do a number of things. I don't think I'm tied to one thing. The last 2 years, I've started my 300 list.
Okay.
And
What
last year, I
exactly is the 300 list? Could you tell us what the 300 list is?
okay, so I'm not gonna give him, like, any shine, but there is a comedian that has a TikTok going around that talks about you write down 300 things that you want God to bring in your life in the upcoming year.
Mm,
And then every day when you're doing your meditations or you're praying, whatever you do to center yourself, you review those 300 things. And then at the end of 365 days, you look back to see what has come to fruition. So last year, I started doing that, and I was pretty consistent until about April of last year and then fell off. And then when I looked at my list at the end of last year, I was like, even that short period of time, I was able to manifest some things, and I was like, what could have happened if I had been consistent with that the whole year? So this year, I'm doing that again, and I'm being more consistent about it. I like the water method where you actually talk into your water and then you drink it. But let me give you the secret to manifestation that they don't tell you in the secret. In
that's new,
order,
the water method. I haven't heard about that one.
Yeah, I
in
do
order,
that.
Do you put crystals
yeah,
in your water
I
to amplify
sometimes I
the
do.
water?
Yep,
Okay.
sometimes I do.
All right.
And look, and my
So I have
yoni
heard
steams.
this. Okay.
Um, but in order for you to be successful manifesting, you have to be able to see a thing, you have to be able to believe the thing, and then you have to embody the thing. It takes more than just putting it on a vision board and making it look pretty and nice. But
What do you mean by embody it?
if you want to talk about being wealthy,
Hmm.
what does wealth feel like to you?
Mhm.
It,
You gotta
for
feel it.
me, yeah, for me, wealth is the freedom of being able to do what I want to do in my free time and how I want to live, and having the freedom for my time to be my time and not somebody else's time. So how does that, whatever that thing is, how does it feel to me? And that's the secret to manifestation. You have to be able to embody the feeling. If you want to lose weight and you say, I want to lose 20 pounds, but then you got your big clothes in your closet and you keep looking at them all the time, you're not going to donate the 20 pounds back to the universe because you're still holding on to the clothes that you
Yeah.
know you're going to want to wear because you can't get the weight off. Get rid of the clothes and start seeing yourself 20 pounds lighter and feeling what that looks like. Like, what are you doing 20 pounds lighter? Are you wearing a bikini? Are you wearing little G strings all the time? How does your body look? Do you have that nice six pack abs? Do you have Michelle Obama arms? Like, what does that look and feel like to you? And so that is the secret. So all of these different tools work. And I think you have to find what works for you. But in order for them to work, you have to embody the thing. that you want. That's the
Right.
secret.
So embodiments for you. Lola, how
Mhm.
about you? What's your process, and what's one of the things that you would say definitely if you weren't not for that, you wouldn't be able to manifest?
I would definitely say what she said. I will add to that. Um, whatever language is important, like whatever you're saying or whatever you're writing down,
So you
don't write it.
script. You
I
use
script.
scripting.
I do a combination of it all. Like I script, I meditate. I've done vision boards. I'm not really a big vision board person. I have done the water method before, but when I write it as if I
Already
already
have
have
it.
it. I
Mhm.
don't write it as if I want it because
Right.
that's from a place of lack.
Mhm.
Yes.
So
Let's talk
if
about
you're
that for a
writing
quick
it, I
second.
don't say I am or I need this or I want this.
You
I'm
don't
very,
use the I
very
am
careful.
technique. You do not
Mhm.
use the I am.
I do, I am, but I am
Okay.
only speaks to a certain chakra. I'm in
Uh,
the chakras too.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
I used to do
am
chakras.
speaks to, I want to say the root chakra, if I'm not mistaken, but there are different statements for each chakra.
Okay.
Like I see, I feel, I hear, I feel
Okay.
is the heart chakra, like you're feeling it.
Okay.
So that only works with one chakra. But when I say it, I don't say it from a place of needing it or wanting it. I
mhm.
always script it from a place of already having it. And like she said, when I say that I have something, now I'm into the feeling of embodying what I have.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
what does the job feel like? You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like every single day, like if even with my day, I do my day, I'm like, today is a great day.
Me too.
I want to feel like I feel nothing but sheer joy today. My conversations are transformative. I meet people that, pour into me. I pour into them. Our exchange is beautiful.
Mhm.
You know, don't have people around me that talk negatively. Like I'm very specific in what I say and how I script out my day, or even when I'm thinking it. I'm very specific in how I write it or how I say it because when you say I want, I need, you're telling the universe that you need something, or you're telling
Right.
the universe that you want it, but
Yeah.
you don't have it.
Mhm.
Or I also use the method of asking questions when I script.
Ah, no, that's
Oh,
interesting.
So,
I'm gonna try that one.
so instead of saying I have $1 million, I would say, how do I achieve the $1 million? I let the universe decide for me how it's going to come to me.
The
Okay.
what, not the how. So
Yeah.
focusing on the what.
What does $1 million look like in my bank account?
Oh,
Oh, I like
What
that one.
does my team who does my team consist of?
oh, I like that one. Interesting.
Does
Interesting.
my team is my team consisting of people who are creative as well as business minded, or is it heavy on the creative side? Do I have two separate teams? Like I allow the universe to give it to me however it comes, as long as it is not hindering anybody else's life.
Our
Okay.
harmony.
That it
So,
doesn't come to me in ways where it is negative, that it hurts anybody in
Yeah.
any way, shape, form, or however it is. I just know that when it comes to me, that it comes to me divinely. My
okay.
conversations are divine. The people that I meet are divine. My interactions are divine. That's even if I go to the grocery store and I'm talking to the person who's making my sub. This is going to be a divine conversation because I
I
said
love
so.
it. Oh. Now,
Mm.
how long did it take you to get to the point where, with the, and this allows us to pivot into intentionality, that you were speaking this, and it's like I used to say to some parents, how you speak over your children directly influences
Yep.
how they turn out. So this is, we're in that kind of
Mhm.
mindset frame right now for those people who are kind of tuning at this point. What you say is what you'll see and what you'll get. So,
Absolutely.
how long did it take you to arrive at this speaking over everything in this way? So even in your scripting, as you're scripting, you're writing and speak. Do you speak and script?
Yes, I speak it out loud. When I write it down, I say it out loud. And I'm gonna tell you what really got me. I don't want to call myself a guru at it, but I'm pretty good. After you fumble the ball a many a time, like you're like, "Whoo, I am so sick. Oh, I am so tired." People say, "I am just broke." No, you're
Yep.
not.
Yes, you are.
No,
If that's
stop
what you
saying you're
say.
broke. Stop
Yep.
saying you're sick. Stop saying
Hmm.
you're tired.
Yes.
Yep.
Because let me tell you something. The moment I said I was broke, because I'm a master manifester,
Ooh, you were
my
broke.
bank account went to nothing.
Absolutely. Yep. Hmm.
I'll give you an
Wow.
example. I'll give you an example of manifesting. And this was masterfully. When I didn't have a job, when we were doing EHR, you know how EHRs are. There's it's seasonal. So
Yes,
there
it is.
was one season where I just couldn't get a job, and I found out later on it was because my name was Lola, which is a Nigerian name. My dad didn't name me that because I'm Nigerian or anything. He named me after my
Lola
grandmother's,
Blunt.
but Lola is a Nigerian name,
Is it
and
really?
I didn't know
yes, it
that
is.
either.
It's called it's child brings happiness, child brings wealth. He didn't know that this was a Nigerian name. And he named me after my grandmother's because they all had OLA in their name. And so um I was working as I was driving for Uber because I couldn't get a job. I was being blacklisted because they thought I was Nigerian. You know about the EHR stuff in Nigerians. All right. And no disrespect to Nigerians, but there's history there. But I said one day, I said, I'm gonna drive multimillionaires in this car this week. This was just a lesson for me, like an exercise. I pick up a guy, he was on the phone the whole time. He was at a Fortune 100 company. He was getting ready to retire. He was on the phone with his secretary. He told his secretary before he left, he was going to pull 2 million in his stocks to move over to another account. If you got $2 million to just pull somewhere and you not thinking about it, you are a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm
Yeah.
just listening to the conversation. He didn't say anything to me about him being a millionaire. I'm just ear hustling. So that was one day. The next day, I drive out. I'm in Alpharetta. I pick up this guy, take him to his house. It's a gated community. He's like, "Hey, Lola, let me talk to the guy. He doesn't see me because I can normally buzz you in." So the guy buzzes us in, right? No, we get to his street, and there was another code to just get to his street inside
Okay.
of the neighborhood,
Mhm.
right? He was
Wow.
a guy who invested in some stock back in the day, and he had a boat and he had this, custom made Porsche, and he had all these cars, and he lived on a lake and multi-millionaire. I drop him off, I get a ding, I go to this restaurant, and it's a guy that's at a poke bar in Alpharetta who was literally visiting a store because him and his partner in California were getting ready to bring their poke bowl business to Georgia, and they were putting 3 in Atlanta, and he had 10 in California. Multi-millionaire. 2 days after that, I go to Morton's. I pick up a guy. He's like, "Lola, do you mind if I sit in the front? I normally don't let somebody sit in the front." He sits in the front, and I'm like, I know this man got money. So I asked him, I said, "Hey, man, what do you do?" He said, "About 45 years ago, a friend of mine talked me into going to work at uh, this Swiss health facility, this health gym, right?
Mhm.
This is before they had gyms, right? He was one of the owners of 24-hour fitness.
Wow.
What?
And he told me, he said, "Have you ever heard of 24 hours?" I said, "I absolutely, I know exactly what." He said, "Lola, the interest that I make I make so much money that my kids, my grandkids, and my great grandkids can live off of the interest of the money." This is what he told me.
See.
I asked him, I said, "What book do I need to read?" He said The Science of Getting Rich by Napoleon Hill, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm very familiar with that book. He said,
Mhm.
go get it again. He told me two stories. One story was he wanted this house on Herds Ferry Road in Atlanta.
I
If you
know.
know anything about
Well,
Herds
yep.
Ferry and Sandy Springs,
Yes.
it's like the richest of the richest of the richest homes. It's like homes in Buckhead, like
Right.
Okay.
old money, old money. And at the time, he didn't have the money. And his wife at the time, he was just like, I just want to, I want this house for my wife. I didn't have the money. He said, I just kept driving to that house and I kept feeling, what you say,
Mhm.
Belay? He
Mhm.
was feeling himself opening up the garage. He was feeling himself pulling his, Porsche into the garage. He was feeling his wife cooking in her kitchen with the double ovens and the this and the that and all the stuff, right? So
Mhm.
he had a certain amount of money for the down payment. That house was on the market for about 5 months. Do you know they dropped the price to the point where his down payment was enough to get that house, and he bought that house for his wife?
Oh wow.
Oh,
The
wow.
other story, now this is key. This was a nugget. He said, Lola, I wanted a Rolex so bad. I wanted a Rolex. I just wanted it. I just thought it was the best thing since sliced bread until I actually saw. He said one of my best friends had one, and I was like, I don't need it, right? So they're at a Christmas party. It's him and all of his staff, and he had already said that he didn't want the Rolex or whatever. How about the staff bought him the Rolex anyway? He said, you can manifest something so much. You could be such a masterful manifester, even if you do not want it,
Very true.
It will come to you.
it will still come to you.
Mhm. Very
Yeah.
true.
I was like, what?
All right. So this begs the question, and I know there's going to be somebody who's watching this. There are a number of women who are out there in Atlanta, the land of mystery men and all blah blah blah. Don't get me started. Who are going to say, I've been trying to manifest the husband I want to get married, and I want to have a husband who does blah 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 blah. So ladies, let's talk about that, because there's going to be that chick who's in her 30s, her 40s, maybe her 50s, whose want is, and this is something I really want to drop. Want, need, uh must have, those are words that are actually almost repellent to
Mhm.
manifesting what you want,
Correct.
because
Correct.
it signifies lack, and
And
lack signifies desperation, and you cannot have things attract things when you're wearing oda to, oh please help me, oh please I need you, oda
Older
desperate,
depression. Older, yeah, older desperation.
oda
with
desperation.
with what's going on in the podcasting world, where you got black men and black women that have pitted themselves against each other. Like black women don't like black men, and black men don't like black women. You got passport
Or
bros, and
black
you got
women who
all these
don't
things,
like black women who are
Yeah.
or
dating and beating on
or
black
whatever
women.
that is, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
There's so many black women that have tuned into these uh controversial conversations, the Kevin Samuels of the world, the
Yeah.
Mhm.
the
And
people
Phil,
that come out of that style of podcasting. Now they're in their 50s and they feel washed up and they feel desperate. Like, I gotta have a man. Like this, I have had more conversations about relationships and men and women. I'm like, is there anything else that black people can do besides date and get married? Like, can we talk about anything else besides relationships? Right. And I know we got to touch on it, but
Mhm.
I feel like it's low hanging fruit.
yeah,
I feel like black women are getting a bad end of the stick because you know that the desire is not there. I mean, behind closed doors, everybody desires us, but they won't say it in public forum.
Right.
And they got our women, our sisters out here really desperate and
for
wanting
him, I'm
companionship.
sure. I
And
think before we get to desperation, I think it's a feeling of uncertainty and a feeling of
but
erodes their
when you're reminded that you are not the prize every single day, it is not hard to feel unsure.
exactly that I
And
desire
that
someone
leads
more
to
than I desire.
desperation.
Yeah,
And that leads to that need and desire to quote unquote want or need a man,
yeah,
which is, like you said, the repellent to manifestation.
yeah, definitely,
Hmm.
definitely. Speaking of which, so what are your thoughts about the list? I don't know if you ladies have ever done this,
What
where
list?
you write the list of all of the qualities and the characteristics. It's kind of like going to the poke place and saying, I would like the spicy salmon, I would like the edamame, I would like the brown rice, and blah, 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 blah. I'm
Okay,
going to tell you
go ahead.
that works.
But
That has worked. I manifested my last person that way. The one thing I left off was the money. Not like I'm not a gold digger, but I'm trying to tell you, I'm
And
not
I'm
trying to
not
step
asking
some
for a
lady's
broke,
nuts.
broke. Yeah, yeah.
can I ask you a question? Were
Yes,
you specific in your list? Like, were you down? Because some people are like super duper specific, and then some people just
girl.
kind of leave it like,
I wanted size 13 and a half, size 14 shoes. I wanted you to be old fashioned, but very contemporary. I wanted your values to be slightly old fashioned, but I wanted you to be contemporary. I wanted you to have that little freaky deaky twist. What? I mean, I was like, here's what I want all the way down. Want you to be this tall. Wanted your thighs to be bigger than mine. I was real specific.
mm.
And, and yeah, I got that in
Yeah.
spades. But the one thing, there are three things that I left off that list, and it was absent. But that's a me thing because in terms of my growth and evolution. So one thing I want to kind of jump into the conversation is as we start to manifest and as we start to script, check yourself in terms of your, because what you, in part, who you are and what you are will attract exactly what you are. So you can't, all these people, I want, if you, as some friend of mine used to say, if you eat at White Castles, you cannot attract that brother that eats at
Morton.
Morton's and gets his burgers from Morton's because
Hmm.
that's not who you are and you're not going to fit into that world. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
careful with what you say that you want and be specific in what you want.
And
Um, Go ahead.
I will ditto that because so I'm doing my list this year.
Okay.
I will be very honest. I've never had a list.
Really?
Or if I've had a list, it so wait, you start dating at 16, probably like after college. I'm like, okay, I want him to be this tall, I want him to be that, and breathing. I got breathing, but I've
We
never
got a
been
pulse.
right, never been specific. And so this last year, I've been going back and like thinking of all of the relationships that I've been in, and I can see the growth. But
Uh-huh.
I've realized I've kind of just been getting any and everything because I haven't been specific about what I really want. And so this year I started a list and I'm starting to write it. So check back in with me at the end of the year and we can see if it worked or not. Because I'm like,
When are you
hell,
going to finish your list, though?
I'm still in the process of writing my, because I keep adding things. Like
All
things
right.
will come to me and I'm like, okay, I want him to be able to be kind with my heart. He needs to be kind with my words. And so I was doing all of those character things. And then I was talking to a girlfriend of mine. She was like, well, what does he need to look like? And I'm like, well, I hadn't really thought
All right.
about that, even though I know I have a preference. And I was like, okay, I need to put that stuff down. So, I'm like, okay, do I want him bald head or gray haired? I do want facial hair.
Oh, I
Pat,
said goatee. I got a goatee. I was a
I
goatee.
was never that specific. I felt like I needed to be specific.
mm-hmm,
I think in my younger years, I was specific when it came to the aesthetics of a man,
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
right? Because I didn't really know the character of a man at the time,
Yeah.
even though I had a moral compass and all of those
right,
things. But I think what I needed in my 20s and what I need in my 50s is vastly different.
Right.
Very, very, very.
Exactly. So
But
you
Like
got
one
to
of the
think
the
about it.
things
things
that
that
are
I need
similar.
now, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
need then. And
Mm-hmm.
the things that I needed then, I don't need now. Like
Yeah.
I need peace. I
That's what
need kindness.
Yeah.
right.
You know, I need somebody with a strong moral compass and
Right.
who is patient
Yep.
and who is
Oh yeah.
enterprising and is a leader, somebody that doesn't need me to lead them and tell them how to
Right.
do, teach me something. I want to
Mhm.
be inspired,
Right. So yeah, you
right?
got to think of all of that stuff, and you're absolutely right. Like as we get older, it
Mhm.
Ooh,
changes
ooh,
because
it changes.
if I had married any of those people in my 30s or my 40s, yeah, it wouldn't have been good.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so now you're looking at like, what do I need in the later part of my life? Because I only want to get married one time too. So that's my other thing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think you have to be specific about what you want. And so my list, I just started it
Okay.
a couple weeks ago.
So did you look at you? Are you looking at you as you're
Yes,
making your
because
list?
that was the other thing too, because I've realized like the last 3 or 4 guys that I've dated, when I look at them, I'm like, yeah, what you said, I attracted what I was at that time in those people.
Yeah.
The last guy that I dated, I was like, he's mean. And then I was like,
Mm.
well, damn, I guess that's because you're mean. Like you attracted that because, and I was like, but no, that's not what I want. And that's not what I want to be. And so, thinking about those things and thinking about, okay, if I say I want somebody that's kind, am I kind? Am I compassionate? Am I patient? Am I enterprising?
Mm.
And so, yeah, it's not like you can just sit down and write this list in 10 minutes and that's it. You have to seriously do the inner work and look at yourself. Because yeah, you're not going to attract something that you're not.
Exactly.
And so those things that I'm not, then I need to work on those so that I'm attracting those things. So it's been
Yeah.
an interesting process.
So
I will tell you, out of at one point I had gotten out of a long-term relationship and I waited about 2 years before I got back into the dating scene. And I felt like my energy was desperate. Like
Hmm.
I really need to be with somebody. Like
Right.
I was in my late 40s. I wanted a relationship. I worked well in relationship.
Hmm.
And the desperation, I will tell you,
That's what you brought.
like
it
a day
turned
without
out to be
deodorant, huh?
Hmm.
the desperation in me attracted really desperate energy type
Absolutely.
men.
Hmm.
And they were not nice. They were
Abusive and users.
Right.
they were users, they were emotionally unavailable. And
Mhm.
then I had to ask myself, am I emotionally unavailable?
Right.
Like, is this a reflection of me? Because
Hmm.
here
But it,
this person has presented themselves in this way.
hmm.
Am I masking myself and letting my guard down 3 months in because
Right.
I'm waiting for their mask to come down. I had to
Hmm.
ask myself those tough questions. And
Yeah.
in some instances, like she said, I
Hmm.
was are you the problem? Yes, I
Right.
was the problem.
Yeah.
For
Absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely. So yeah,
So
I think I have belief in the list, and we're gonna see what I get. So I am writing my list and being very
Belief in what per se?
the list and what I want to attract in my partner, or what I shouldn't say, and what I need in my partner, to be happy and fulfilled.
what you want, what you need, or what you
Mm,
expect?
mm-mm, mm-mm. It's not what I want. Um, and
I
it's not
said
even what
expect.
it's not even what I expect though. I would say it's
Why
more of a
not?
because I have high expectations. I
So now,
think
why
it's more
not
of a
have that?
but I think it's more of a requirement. It needs to be a requirement
All
for me.
right. So then phrasing it that way, I would require. It's
Yeah.
just like a job requirement. When we all
Mhm.
go on jobs, like in the
What are
profession
you
I'm in,
doing?
people will say, "Well, this position
Right.
requires someone who has 10 years of
And that's what I'm saying. It's a
experience."
requirement now for me.
Exactly. One of the things that I want to a couple of things I'd like to kind of deposit into the conversation is, um, we get more of what we focus our attention on,
Hmm.
and that's something that we've kind of alluded to, but I really want to kind of put a finer point on that. Be it good or bad, where
Hmm.
focus goes,
Where
energy
attention goes.
grows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, what you focus on, the momentum behind that, be
Mm.
it that job, be it that guy, be it that apartment, be it that business, where that energy, that focus goes, your energy is going to grow, and you will attract more of that into
Mhm.
your life. So, hence the desperation. The other thing I want to talk about is the visual, that sitting down. I have a family member who I tried to meditate with one time, and she was dealing with some stuff, and I said, well, let's meditate on that. Let's visualize that thing coming to pass. And her mind, and when you try to visualize things, sometimes you'll have monkey brain, and your brain will just be there and there and there. And it's a matter of sitting with yourself, with your thoughts, and being at, someone said it early on, a place of peace, so that you can see and feel that you deserve those things that you want or that you need. For some of us, I write on chart paper phrases. I'm wealthy. I have wealth. I'm a lender, not a borrower. I love to travel. I travel to amazing locations and destinations every year, and I make those kinds of declarative statements. So there's no conflict with. It's not a desire. It's not a need. It's not a desperation. Um, One of the other things that I do is I'll sit and think about. Uh, I used to be. I was in a network marketing thing, ACN, and they talked about going into dream mode, and the
Mhm.
importance and the significance of allowing yourself. And both of you ladies have said it, to sit back and to see yourself. Like, I have this one image that came into my mind a couple of years back. It's me sitting on a yacht, and I'm lying back with a book, and my knee is up, and someone's coming over to me asking me if I'd like another glass of champagne. And it's like I don't fully see it, but I see myself. I see it's like almost Amalfi down in the southern coast of Italy, and just kind of like having friends around, and I visualize this frequently. So that's going to come. um do that for yourself. It's, if it's a magazine, if it's a like going to, my cousin used to call it modeling. Go into model homes and see yourself in those
Right.
model
Mhm.
homes. It could be going into a store that you're intimidated or afraid of going to, and going in and trying on the DeCarly fragrance or the Maison Kirk Dijon fragrance. It could be any of those things, and then see yourself going up and purchasing that. It could be, let's see, oh, writing it down. um you guys talked about the water and the scripting and things like that. Some people, I know somebody who said she would put hers. There's the ask and it shall be given, seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be answered unto you. You can write those things onto a card and put a timeline on it, or you can write down your goals, make them succinct: 3 in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times in the evening. If you want it, you'll do it. These are
Mhm.
just a couple of things or a couple of ways. Just to kind of recap, like, what would you say are the three things if you were in an elevator with someone and telling someone, they were saying, well, how do I manifest? You know, do I is it self hypnosis? Is it just, talking to myself? What are the three things that you would, if you were getting off an elevator and you had to give someone three things that they needed at before you got off? What would you say to them?
Okay,
I
so
would
I would
say
say
Lola, you go
first,
first. You go
yeah,
first.
you go.
I would say one, master emotional regulation. Master
Ooh.
your emotions, because manifesting is about a feeling, like she said, embodying a certain thing. When you can master your emotions and you can quiet your mind, like when you were saying to sit with someone who wants to manifest and they're trying to meditate. I have a friend that's a stillness coach, and he said the one thing that we struggle in our community is that we don't know how to be still. We are so
So
used to
true.
wanting noise around
Mhm.
us that we don't know how to be still. He practices stillness
Mhm.
every single day. And he said it is the hardest thing for his clients to be still
Wow.
Mhm.
enough. So you got to master stillness, and you got to master your emotions and master your mind. Like, what you think about and how you think about it, and the frequency and how in which you think about it.
Those
Mhm.
are good. I like those. Okay. So I wrote down. So my three would be first, you have to find what works for you.
Okay.
Don't get in the space of, okay, this is what works for Anne, so I need to do what works for Anne. That may not work for you. Be okay with finding what works for you and not wanting to copy someone. Second, I would say, along with be quiet, learn how to be quiet so that you can hear. And then the third thing I would say is learn how to dream and have imagination, which as we grow older, we learn how to not do that anymore. And that's one of the hardest things for me. I work with a shaman and we were doing a hypnosis session and he was like, okay, describe your dream life for me. Like, what does that look like? And I was like, I don't know, because like it's different. Like, sometimes I could be out on the beach and then like sometimes maybe I'll be in a high-rise apartment. And he was like, okay, well, let me tell you what mine is. And so he goes through his life and he goes through like what he's wearing, how many birds are in the trees, what kind of birds are they, what are the trees, who's there with him, what is he eating, what is, and I was like sitting there like this.
Very specific, right?
I'm
Very,
like,
Yeah.
very.
I don't even know that I've ever done that, even as a child. And so I have to get back to learning how to dream and being that specific. Like even with you talking about being on the yacht, on the boat, and having them come and bring you the champagne. Like what
I
book?
was there. I
Yeah,
saw it.
Mhm.
yeah. So yeah, all that stuff.
I would probably say to keep a journal
Mm,
because as I've moved from 30 to 40 to 50, the things that I desire or the things that are must haves in my life have changed.
mm-hmm.
Mm.
Um, I would say, what's the other thing I was thinking about? I would say to gratitude. One of the things
Oh
that
yeah,
I've learned is there's a difference in how I manifest when I manifest with gratitude first.
very
I
true.
don't know if you ladies have said this, I'm so happy and grateful now that blah, 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 blah. Because without gratitude, whatever or whoever you acknowledge that guides you in this universe
Mm-hmm.
has to be, you have to tip your hat to
Yeah.
that soul source. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I I would really have to say spending time to be in that moment and I'm going to say to believe, be allow myself to believe and be in that moment, because if I can't find my way to that, I'm never going to get there. And to really need it, to lean into that. This is a great conversation, you guys. I appreciate you guys very, very much. um I think um there's so much depth and growth to this. If people are interested, there's so many different ways we've talked about. There is
Yeah.
no right way for anyone. The thing is to start. The thing is to just write 5 things down and think about those things. Imagineer yourself into that. um
Just start with like what kind of day you want. Like it doesn't even have to be something hard or difficult. Just start with today, this is the type of day I want to have.
exactly, and watch your words.
Mhm.
Watch your
Watch
words.
your words and do little exercises. Like a lot of times when people are driving, they're so consumed with what's going on, their
Yeah.
phone or radio or
Yeah.
something. Focus on like, how many red cars do I see? Or how many
What was that game?
trees that
Your
have
little
yellow leaves
Yeah.
on them do I
I
see?
spy with my
Right?
little eye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
spy.
thought,
And what it does, it makes you focus on those things. And what happens is now all of a sudden, now you're gonna start seeing all the red cars
yep.
because you're focusing on the red car, right?
There's a
And
term for that in psychology.
yeah,
I heard
and
it
what it
before.
does is it helps you to learn how to focus on specific things. Like that's just like a little small example, or like just a quick test of how to train your brain, like a brain teaser to train your
Mhm.
brain. Let me focus on one thing. or for
Mhm.
1 minute, can I sit in silence?
Yep. Yep.
Let me try to sit in silence for 30 seconds or even 15 seconds because, like me, I got ADHD and my brain can think of 1,000 things in a minute, right? Just
Yep.
I will literally be thinking about something and then somebody will walk in and start talking about something and I'm thinking about that. But
Mhm.
training your brain to slow down and focus on one particular thing, that is also very helpful.
Okay. I think last thing I'm going to add to my list is mindset.
Mhm.
As Zig Ziglar says, there's not a lot that's going to happen with stinking thinking. If you can't think positively, you
Mhm.
cannot create anything.
Yeah.
So the more you dwell on the negative and you think on the negative, what you create, you will create. I lied. You will create, but it won't be what it is, what you want.
Absolutely.
Ladies, I appreciate you. I'd love for you to invite you guys to come back. I enjoyed the conversation. I felt like I was hanging out with my girlfriends. Just like all that was missing was my white wine tonight. Um, this midlife must list was something that I manifested, and something that you must have or must do in your life. Thank you, ladies, so much for helping with something that I manifested and being a part of that. I'd love to have you in again or support you guys. Where can my guests or folks who are watching this find you guys?
Who you want to go first?
Does Billy, you go.
Okay, so yeah, I will say thank you so much. I am so glad that we've done this. Of course, you know I always enjoy talking to you and Lola. Like it was great meeting you. So we'll be connecting and doing something. But you can find me on Instagram at Billet Frazier, which is Bille Frazier Frazier, and then my website you can get under the same name. And I also have a retreat that I am doing in June in Costa Rica. And so that information is on my website as well. So come join us in Costa Rica. But yeah, that's where I am. Oh, Facebook, I'm Belay Frazier too.
All right, all socials, Billy Frazier. You
Yeah.
guys got that. Lola, how about you? How can folks find you and hear more of your voices, both you and Billy's voices?
I am Hill Black Joy on all social media podcasts, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. That is my business page. And then I'm Lola Troy on my personal pages on Facebook and Lola Troy Writes on Instagram. But Hill Black Joy podcast is on YouTube. It's on all podcast and streaming services. It's on Apple, Google, Anchor, um, wherever you can find your podcasts.
All right, awesome. You guys, thank you so much. Everyone, have a great week. There'll be more like this as we move along this year. Hope you come back and join the broadcast.
See
Thank
you
you.
later.
See you
See ya.
later.
Like, how do I? Oh, wait, how do I stop my live? Okay.